Previously on Dragon Ball Z, Peak of TCG.
But it's Mega EX, I promise. I'm putting this in the worst. And in fact, I think it's going to be worse than VMAX. And that's because it evolves from, like, regular Pokemon. It basically takes everything that made the OG Mega right here and made it bad. For no reason. They butchered it completely. They made it a made them 3 prizers. They made them evolve from regular Pokemon for some crazy reason, but I just don't think that we don't need 3 prizers back in the game, and it just feels like it's kind of insulting in general, just as the Mega design to come back. It just feels like a cheap way to get people to buy them again because they just have the Mega name on them.
What's up, guys? Peak of TCG here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today, guys, it's gonna be a little bit of a different episode. I know I say that in a lot of episodes now, but today I'm going to admit something. I was completely wrong about Mega Evolution Pokémon EX. If you guys remember a video I did a little while ago, I want to say like almost a year or so ago, I made a video explaining or like ranking every single Pokemon TCG gimmick, and I put Mega Evolution Pokemon EX in the lowest tier possible, and like I think the second worst gimmick ever. And that was a completely unfair assumption. I'm more than willing to accept my being wrong here, because the Mega Evolution Pokemon that we've gotten, at least so far at the time of recording this video, which is having every single Mega from Mega Evolution base set and Mega Gengar and Mega Diancie EX, I think that Megas are actually pretty awesome. Like, they're pretty great for the game, in my opinion. And they actually have healthily, like, coexisted in the meta in a way that I just didn't think was possible, because they were 3 prize cards. Now, big note, this is before we get Phantasmal Flames. Of course, this is including Mega Gengar and Diancie. So it does have a couple cards from Phantasmal Flames, but they were released early on PTCGL for some stupid reason. And so today we're going to basically I'm going to talk about each Mega Evolution, kind of give my thoughts about it, and kind of explain if it has meta relevance or not. And ultimately, I'll just break down my thoughts as I go along about why I was wrong about Mega Evolutions. Before we get started, I will quickly ask to see if you're subscribed. I put a ton of effort into planning and making these videos, which can get tough sometimes due to me being a college student. Subscribing helps support me and my channel, and it allows me to make more videos like the ones you're currently watching. And if you want to help support my channel even further, consider becoming a member. With 3 different tiers to choose from, you'll get access to my videos early, get exclusive behind the scenes updates, you'll get creative inputs on new videos, and more. Every member will also be featured in the credits of every single one of my videos. Thank you so much for your support so far. Now, let's get back to the video. So to start out, we have Mega Venusaur EX. It has 380 HP. Let's see, actually, I try to make this cool background, but I'm not exactly sure if I get a bigger view. I do get a bigger, okay, sorry. I tried to do something cool and it didn't work. Okay, so Mega Venusaur EX has the Solar Transfer ability. It has, actually, first off, 380 HP, which is ridiculous. We will be hitting 400 HP Megas at some point, everybody. That is insane and honestly kind of disgusting for power creep purposes, but Mega Venusaur has the Solar Transfer ability. As often as you like during your turn, you can use the ability to move a basic grass from one of your Pokemon to another Pokemon. So basically, you can just move all your energies anywhere you want, and you can combine this with like Teal Mask Ogerpon, Meganium, the new Forest of Vitality, which is basically just Forest of Giant Plants. If it were like kind of brought down a little bit. So this deck definitely has a ton of synergy with Grass type, which is a very good type right now in the trading card game because Dark type is good. It hasn't seen all the success that it probably wants to see, mostly probably because of like all the Mega Absol box just being able to one-shot it regardless of it having a ton of HP. And also it can get a little bit clunky at times. But this deck absolutely is a meta deck. At like the very worst, it's still a meta deck. And it's a very fun one at that. It's fun to see it all kind of get pieced together, and even when you're playing against it, it does make an interesting game to where 240 isn't a huge, like, it can't one-shot other megas, it can't one-shot everything, but it does kind of provide, like, an interesting synergy with a lot of fun cards, because grass is a fun type. And so I think that Mega Venusaur is absolutely one of the best examples of why Megas ended up working out the way they did in a positive way, because it feels like it's inclusive in the meta and it feels worthy to play in the meta, but not to a point where it's dominating everything and taking over the game like VMAXs and tag teams did before it. Next up we have Mega Camerupt EX. I'm not sure I've really ever seen a Mega Camerupt, like, well, I've seen a couple people, like, kind of mess around with this as a concept, and Mega Camerupt, I think we can say, at least for the very worst, for every single Mega that's, like, been in the game so far, not including Phantasmal Flames, every Mega at least has some sort of, like, niche or a fun deck that you can play around it. Mega Camerupt is, not great. I mean, it does 240 for 1 energy if your opponent's active Pokemon is burned, which is possible. I think the Magmortar or whatever that can burn your opponent, and then you can just Camerupt for a ton of damage. But, like, and then Volcanic Meteor 280 and discard 2 energy. Like, this is possible with, like, Emboar Firebox or whatever. But there's just better options out there. Honestly, just playing Mega Venusaur is way better, in my opinion. You just do big damage right away. It has better synergy with more cards that kind of draw and all that. So, and also Fire is kind of an awkward type right now. It just doesn't have all the synergy it needs, but it has some. So Mega Camerupt, I'd say, it's not terrible, but it's not a deck that's really that relevant, but it's a fun one. I have seen a couple lists floating around of Camerupt, and I just think it's a kind of fun card to mess around with. And again, at the very worst, that's what the Megas are. At the end of the day, I think, is they're just fun. They don't have to all be game-changing or all that, but they can at least just be a fun, interesting dynamic, and I'll kind of break down my thoughts about kind of that end of it a little bit later. Alright, next we have Mega Abomasnow. I keep almost saying Mega Abomasnow, but Mega Abomasnow, basically you never use Frost Barrier, because 230 less is Temu, Hizui, and Gudra V-Star, which took, I think, 60 or 80 less damage from attacks. So, like, there's no reason to play Mega Abomasnow for the second attack. The first attack, the Hammer Lance, is where it's at. And this deck, again, another gimmicky, funny deck that's not really going to perform at the high levels. But being able to discard the top 6 cards of your deck and doing 100 damage for each one you discard. You discard 4 water energy, which this deck runs like half of its deck as energies. You're one-shotting anything in the game, which is absolutely insane. You can one-shot other Megas, but it's just like, it can be super clunky. And also, like, if you miss a turn of energy discard, like, if you just discard a whole bunch of non-energies, you're kind of screwed. So I think that this deck is another just funny gimmick deck. I've seen some people have success with it, but it's not really anything that's going to change the meta. It's just a funny, nice deck that I really do enjoy watching. I've watched For the Win play this deck. Just watching those games are just super fun, and I think that's what I really enjoy about Mega Abomasnow. Next, we have Mega Manectric, and honestly, I'm surprised Mega Manectric hasn't really made a higher appearance in the meta so far. It has a Flash Ray attack, which is only 120 damage for 2 electric energy, but it does wall off basic Pokemon. And right now, basics are everywhere in the format. We've got Mega Kangaskhan, and we'll talk about that. We've got Mega Absol. We've got the Ogerpons. We've got Lily's Clefairy. We've got all sorts of different basics in the format that can attack this thing, and yet nobody plays this card. It also has the Riotous Blasting, which says you can discard all energy from this Pokemon and have it do 230 or 330 damage, which is a one-shot on, like, other Mega EXs, like another Mega Manectric, or it can one-shot things like Charizard or Dragapult, which is insane. The only issue that I really see with Mega Manectric, even though it has synergy with, like, Electric and the Electric Engine, which is still good, is that it's just underwhelming at points. It's a little bit lackluster. The damage output isn't all there all the time, and it is a bit awkward to discard all your energy and then having to reset. And electric is also kind of now not as great because fighting type actually has gotten a big boost with Mega Evolution. So I think Mega Manectric with like Miraidon and Iron Hands electric package could really work out nicely. But right now, it's not there all the way. But this is definitely, I think, a sleeper pick. If you do want a kind of fun deck that can kind of handle the entire meta, and you just are okay with insta losing to like Lucario, then I would definitely recommend trying out Mega Manectric. I need to do some testing with this deck for fun. Maybe even for Vegas. I have no idea. I'm literally just throwing things in at the wall at this point for Vegas testing. I'm recording this before Las Vegas Regionals. So, I don't know. We'll just have to see how the meta pans out. Maybe Mega Manectric does make a resurgence. And I don't know. This is a very cool card, and I think it's a very well-designed card at that as well. All right, next up we have Mega Diancie EX. Diancie hasn't actually been, like, introduced yet to us. I think the next card is probably, like, Gengar. No? Okay, it's not. Anyways, Mega Diancie has the Diamond Coat ability, which is this. It takes 30 less damage from attacks, which is basically effectively 300 HP, which is fine. I mean, cool, but I mean, at the same time, it's 3 prize cards, so like 300 for 3 prize cards is a bit meh, but it has a Garland Ray attack, which has discard up to 2 energy cards from this Pokemon, and it has 120 damage for each one you discard in this way. Now, the implications for this card on its own are already pretty good. 240 for 2, like discarding 2 energy is already really strong, but if you pair this with Gardevoir EX, all of a sudden that 240 can turn into something like 300 pretty easily if they have 2 Monkey Dories down. They Psychic Embrace some energies onto a Gardevoir, they retreat it, they attach some, or they Psychic Embrace onto the Mega Diancie. That can be at 300 plus damage thanks to Monkey Dory, and all of a sudden Mega Diancie becomes this really strong, high HP basic attacker, which is, I think, something that Gardevoir has really kind of been missing out on. Gardevoir is a glass cannon most of the time, attacking with really small HP or very fragile Pokemon, and I think Diancie can kind of shake up how Gardevoir plays. Not that Gardevoir needs more. Seriously, stop printing more Psychic stuff until Gardevoir is out of the format, because that's all Psychic is just Gardevoir at this point. But Diancie does kind of provide an interesting dynamic and an interesting risk and reward factor into Gardevoir, and they can choose to play this, or Gardevoir is just fine by playing without Diancie. And that's something that I think Megas do pretty well, is they kind of can slot themselves in as tech cards instead of just being a focal point of the deck. So Diancie, I think, is kind of a card that can be good, but at the same time, there is some drawbacks to it, and that's good. That is a good thing about this meta. All right, next up we got Mega Gardevoir EX, and I feel so bad for Mega Gardevoir. It's just completely snubbed by regular Gardevoir EX. Like, I have seen Mega Gardevoir be played in Gardevoir, like just basic Gardevoir EX. But the Mega Symphonia attack for 50 times each Psychic attached to all your Pokemon is pretty good. But it's a 3-prizer. And single prizers can basically attack better with Gardevoir, and also with Mega Gardevoir, you have to commit a Kirlia, like a Ralts or a Kirlia to it, which means that you might not be able to have your double Gardevoir as most Gardevoirs like to have right now. So Mega Gardevoir just doesn't really feel like it's worth playing in regular Gardevoir, which is pretty ironic. But I do think that once Gardevoir EX regular rotates, we could see Mega Gardevoir become more popular. It does have some pretty good attacks, and it does have the Psychic patch that just kind of, and the Mystery Garden as well. So, like, Mega Gardevoir does have a lot going for it post-rotation, but right now it's being overshadowed by regular Gardevoir EX. So I can't really say much more about this because there's not really much to talk about until regular Gardevoir leaves. Because just the story has just been regular Gardevoir, everything, everywhere, all the time. All right, next up we got Mega Lucario EX. Okay, Mega Lucario, in my opinion, is one of the coolest new Megas, and I actually really like this deck a lot. And also, he's the thumbnail, which hopefully some of you guys got it. It's supposed to be Miles Morales Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse It's a reference to that, if anybody's remembers that movie, which has been like 3 years since that movie came out. Like, it's just insane. Anyways, on topic again. Mega Lucario EX is pretty strong, and it also can be a tech card, which is pretty interesting. We'll talk about the base deck first. Mega Lucario base version, like just as its own deck, is very strong because it basically reinvigorated the entire fighting type archetype, which is insane, and I'm really happy about that. It has the Jab for 130 for 1 energy, and you can attach up to 3 basic fighting energies from your discards pile to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. This can be a huge way to set up another Mega Lucario, or a Hariyama, or just another fighting type attacker that you might want to use. And 130 for 1 energy is nothing to discount. It's very strong, and energy acceleration is also insane here. And Mega Brave for 270 during your next turn, I can't use Mega Brave, is great. I mean, 270 isn't exactly a big number when you're looking at other Megas and all that, but considering that you can play fighting, what is it, basically fighting Powerade or whatever. I don't remember what it's called. I'm struggling on that. I'm sorry, but basically it boosts up. It's basically like Power Tablet for fighting types. And you can keep boosting your damage higher and higher. And Mega Lucario likes to play Max Spell, so you can one-shot basically anything in the game, which is great for this deck. Mega Lucario just kind of has all the synergy it needs. It's got Gust with Hariyama, it's got a strong draw engine thanks to the Solrock Lunatone engine, and it's got, plenty of new item cards to experiment with, and bring it to a level that's competent and viable in the format. But it also can be used as a tech card in Gholdengo EX, where you can play Mega Lucario as an answer to Cornerstone Ogerpon, because you can use Jab or Mega Brave, and basically this just kind of takes care of Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. Now, of course, the Cornerstone player could just boss up the Riolu and just get rid of it, and they can never establish it, but it's an interesting concept to include it as a tech card, because it's already Gholdengo already is running the Solrock Lunatone engine, so Mega Lucario does make a big difference in that case as well. Just very well-rounded card, and a very strong one that supports its archetype very well. Alright, Mega Absol EX. This card is taking the meta by storm, and I think it'll continue to do that. It is currently my top choice for Vegas Regionals right now, at the time of recording this video. And this card can do it all. A terminal period, 1 insta KOs anything that has exactly 6 damage counters on it, which is very possible thanks to Monkey Dory now. And Claw of Darkness, being able to do 200 damage, which isn't always super great. I mean, great against Gardevoir, you one-shot Gardevoir, but 200 damage, your opponent reveals their hand and you can discard a card you find there. Absolutely broken, because what you can do with Absol is you can use things like Xerosic's Machinations, and you can use things like Eerie, or you can use Judge, and you can hand disrupt and then discard more cards, and your opponent can just basically be left with nothing. This card is so good at shutting down opponents, whether that's just one-shotting their big attacker or disrupting their hand in a way that they just can't continue playing the game the way they want to. This card really is super strong. It's got a strong archetype thanks to Tor Reklev. If you saw my last video, I mentioned this card a ton, but it's just that good right now. It is a little bit reliant on going second. If it doesn't go second, it falls very far behind very quickly. But I still think that it's a very strong deck, and it's definitely one of the top choices that I have right now for Vegas. And I think because I think for Vegas, Gardevoir is going to come back in full force, and I think Mega Absol can kind of meet Gardevoir there and just wreak havoc on the Gardevoirs, which is really good. So I definitely think that Mega Absol is probably top 3 best Megas in that has been revealed so far, and I absolutely love this card. Very, very well designed in my opinion. It has a very nice risk reward to it, only having 280 HP. But the strength, the pure strength and tech ability, I guess, that it has is with any dark deck that Zoroark or whatever is really strong, and I really like this kind of archetype that it creates. All right, next we got Mega Gengar, another card that is not technically supposed to be out yet, but of course PTCGL is incompetent and decided we're just going to put this in to the meta and have fun playing it on the standard ladder when people are trying to test for regionals. But Mega Gengar has, most importantly, has the Shadowy Concealment ability, which says if one of your dark Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon EX, that player takes one fewer prize card. Now, this is just a huge troll. Dark decks are already incredibly powerful, but to give them this kind of effect is even more broken. 1 prize Charizard EX, 2 prize Mega Absols, 0 prize like Toxtricity and stuff like that. Absolutely insane that Mega Gengar can do this. And it has a good attack, Void Gale for 230, and movement energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench. Fine, not amazing, but fine. This card is very strong, and I think that it will impact the meta a lot. It's the 1 prize Zoroark EX, by the way. So I think Mega Gengar really could shake up how the meta plays. If Dark decks start to make a higher count, you're going to see more Mega Gengar because it's going to reduce the amount of prize cards your opponent gets. So this could be an interesting way of like shifting how the game goes, especially once we get Mega Charizard X. Gengar could be a very strong way to kind of work around that and make sure you deny them their prize cards. But this is also really strong as like beat stick decks and stuff like that. It does struggle to things like Mega Absol, which will just one-shot it without dealing damage. But I think a Gengar is a well-rounded card, and it does boost the Dark-type archetype to another level. And I mean, I'm a sucker for Gengar. It's like top 5 favorite Pokemon for me, so yeah, absolutely great card. Next, we got Mega Mawile EX. Now, I originally said that Mega Mawile was trash, and I was super wrong. Honestly, Mega Mawile is really good. It's a nice slot inclusion into any deck that plays Steel-type energy. I've seen it in, like, these, like, metal boxes, like, Matang metal boxes. I've seen it in, even starting, like, in Terra Box. I've seen it in Goldengo as an answer to Cornerstone, and I've seen it in like Arcaludon, and it has the Gobble Down attack, which I wrote off before as saying this is just a win more attack, and in a sense, yes, it's still a win more attack. 80 times each prize card you've taken, so it ramps up the further along you are in the game. But Huge Bite for 260 is also nothing too shabby as well. I still think it's not like the best card ever, but I do think it's a strong card that does deserve more respect than I gave it originally. It's nothing too special, nothing really to write home about, but I do think it's a strong card. And it's again, with each of these megas, I think that they are balanced in a way to where there's ways around them and there's ways to take advantage of their 3 prize cards, but they're worth playing because they're strong enough to be worth playing, which is a good thing, in my opinion. Like, we'll talk about this at the very end. Next, we got Mega Latios EX. This is an underwhelming EX, in my opinion. There's like a poison package, or like a poison hit and run deck that I've seen with Latios, with the strafe attack, but I don't think that Latios is all there. Illusory Impulse for 300 and discard all energy is way too, like, harsh, in my opinion. For a Psychic Fire and a anything energy for 3 energy, that's a bit crazy. But it is still a good EX. I wouldn't say it's the best EX that you could ever see ever, but like it's still a good choice. As a tech card for certain scenarios, or that poison deck is pretty good as well. I don't think it's amazing. I'd say it's probably like a low, like a C tier, maybe like high C tier Mega EX, but it's still a good choice. It's still a good Mega. I guess not a good choice in the meta because it's not, but it's still a good Mega EX. Like, and that's something I can say about almost all of these basically, is that they might not be meta relevant, but they're still a good card and it's still a well-designed card. So yeah, not much more to say about Mega Latios, but still an interesting card at that. We'll leave it there. Okay, Mega Kangaskhan is my favorite EX that we've gotten so far. This card has single-handedly changed the entire game, in my opinion. I gotta stop saying in my opinion, because I've said it a lot. I saw someone in my comment section last video saying take a shot every time I say a certain phrase. please do not take a shot every time that I say, in my opinion. All right? Just putting that out there. I do not want to be responsible for someone getting enough alcohol poisoning to wipe out an entire civilization. Okay, another side tangent aside, Mega Kangaskhan is amazing. This card kind of just unlocks a whole bunch of these like big basic archetypes. I used it in Terra Box and I've had great success with it. It's been in Mega Kangaskhan, it's been in Mega Kangaskhan. It literally is it's in a Mega Absol. It's been in the Tord Box deck. And it's kind of just been able to boost those decks because you can draw cards with Run Errand. We draw 2 if it's in the active spot, which is very strong. And then you can swap it out with Latios or Petrarun or something like that. And then you can use Rapid Fire Combo for 3 of any energy, 200 plus, flip a coin until you get tails, that's 50 more for each heads. You can one-shot anything if you get lucky enough. Like, if you want to hear me talk more about Mega Kangaskhan, I recommend that you go watch my Mega Kangaskhan video with Terra Box, like Mega Kangaskhan and Terra Box. But this card is definitely my favorite Mega so far. And it's going to be a very strong Mega. It's a very tanky, splashable EX, and it pairs well with a lot of, it synergizes well because it's a colorless type, Bouffalon. You can attach any energy you want to it. And it's just a very, self-sufficient card. And I think it's the best Mega that we've had so far. And it's definitely my favorite. And also, it's my brother's favorite. Shout out to you. Shout out to my brother, who absolutely loves Kangaskhan. Calls him Bebe, by the way. So if I ever call Mega Kangaskhan Bebe in a video, that's why. So, definitely my favorite Mega so far. Alright, next up. Oh. Next up is nothing. That's it. That's all the Megas. I forgot we don't really have a ton of them yet. Okay, so, final thoughts. I think currently Mega EXs are well balanced. Going in, I was afraid that the 3 prize mechanic would be it would either make them way too overpowered by creatures feeling pressured to make them have way too much HP, or just do way too much damage, or just have broken abilities. But I think that the 3, they honestly are just a solid, inclusion into the format, where they feel healthy enough to be splashable cards, they're healthy enough to be their own decks, and they're just, in a way where they haven't dominated the game like VMAX and Tag Team GX. And I think I was just kind of a little, had a little bit of PTSD from Tag Teams and VMAX, and just how poorly designed those were to where they just took over the entire game. But I think that the Megas so far have been a pretty solid inclusion. Let's go back to just looking at all the Megas here. I gotta go through filters. But okay, looking at every single Mega so far, I think that we're in a position where, until at least Phantasmal Flames, the Megas have been worth playing, but in a way that it's not, meta-consuming, or in a way that they're too underwhelming to be worthy of playing. And the 3 prize mechanic, while a very large liability, still feels worth playing because your opponent still has to take 3 more prize cards in some way. And there's Dusknoir, and there's other things that can take more prize cards at certain points. But we've got answers to that. We've got Shaman, we've got Psyduck, we've got answers to the format now. And it just creates a very healthy and synergistic format that just kind of clicks together in a very satisfying way. I kind of don't want Phantasmal Flames right now, guys. I kind of want to stay in the Mega Evolution format because it's just fun. I am enjoying the format right now. Now, this could all change immediately. This could all flip like that as soon as we get Mega Charizard X, because it's just big, stupid beat stick deck that can do infinite damage and that could throw every single one of these Megas out the window. But we'll have to see how that goes. Water type is kind of lackluster, so hopefully we'll get some better water types in the format to combat the Mega Charizards. But I just think that this is Megas overall, I'd say if I were to go back to that video now, and re-rank Mega EX, Mega Evolution EX now, I'd re-rank them in B tier. They're not the best, but they are not, I'd say probably high B tier. They're not the greatest things that I've ever, like, they haven't, like, changed the game in, like, some miraculous way, but they're also not bad. They're good enough to be worthy of being in the meta, but they're not going to take over. And that's really my thoughts about it. I was wrong initially about Megas, and I'm happy to say that, because it's created a more dynamic and fun format to play. And I think that's really where I'm going to leave it, guys. Like, there's not really much more to say about Megas. The future still has a lot of potential to ruin things, or maybe even make things better. Who knows? But yeah, that's going to be it from me, all from me. I'm hoping that I can get at least one more video out before I leave for Vegas. And I've got some more ideas for videos coming down the line. So we'll have to see in the future. But for now, that's going to be all from me. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, God bless, have fun, we'll see you out there, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.